We're going to kick things off in the Microsoft Foundry portal in the new experience. You'll know you're in the new experience because at the very top of the menu, you'll see New Foundry followed by a toggle button. That toggle should be situated to the right. If it's not to the right, that indicates that you are not in the New Foundry experience and that you are still in the classic experience. So do select that toggle to enter into the new experience. The next thing that we want to ensure is that we have a model deployed. There is another video available on how to deploy models, but as a refresher, you'll go to Discover, followed by Models. And then from here, we're going to be using GPT 4.1-mini. You can search for that model, select it, and then you can deploy it using either the default settings or the custom settings. I have an existing deployment, as you can see. Heading back to the home page, what we'll need to do is keep track of that project endpoint because that is where we're going to start our adventures in Visual Studio Code. In Visual Studio Code, I've created a brand new project called Quick Start. And within here, I'll start by creating my .env file for my environment variables. In this file, I'm going to copy in the environment variables that are provided in the sample for this video. The first one is going to be the Azure AI Foundry project endpoint. So that is the endpoint that I referenced on the welcome page for the new Foundry portal. Next, we have the Foundry agent name. If you are following the code that I'm showing here on the screen, then I do recommend that you name your agent my agent. It'll align with the code in the sample itself. And then just below that, we have the deployment name. And so your deployment for your GPT 4.1 mini model should reflect what I also have here on the screen, which is GPT-4.1-mini. In the event you named your GPT 4.1-mini model something else or using a different model altogether, this is where you're going to want to put in the deployment name for your model. Now, if you are unsure of your deployment name for your model, you can find that within the build section of the Foundry portal. You're going to navigate to models and then find the model that you would like to use. And under the name column is the name for the model itself. Back here in Visual Studio Code, I'm going to save this .env file. And then the next thing I'm going to do is open my terminal. And now I'm going to create a virtual environment. I personally like to use UV because it's quick and fast. So what I'm going to do is type UV, V-E-N-V, and then that creates a virtual environment. And now I need to activate it. I'll type .venv /scripts /activate, just as we've added the command here on the screen. And now that is activated, and I know it's activated because on the far left, I can see that the name of this project is to the far left in the parentheses. The next thing that we want to do is install any dependencies that are going to be necessary. So there's going to be 3. The very first one that we're going to install is Azure AI Projects, and we're going to install the preview version of that. Since I am using UV for my virtual environment, I'll start with UV followed by pip install Azure AI Projects --pre. And there we are, that's been installed. I'm going to clear this screen so we can have more space here. The next dependency that I'm going to install is going to be Azure Identity as well as Python.env. So likewise, you'll enter UV followed by pip install and then the package itself. So Azure Identity and Python-.env. All right, now that's been installed. And there's just one more dependency that will install, and that'll be OpenAI. So to install that, again, UV pip install OpenAI. And we are done with all of our dependencies. Going to run clear again just to give up some more space on here on the screen. The next thing that we're going to do is use the Azure CLI to authenticate to Azure. Depending on how your subscription is set up, it may be as simple as running AZ login, or it may be a combination of AZ login followed by use device code, and you may have to enter in your subscription ID as well. I'm in the latter camp, so that's what I'm going to enter here and press enter. It'll then give you this URL that you need to navigate to and a code that you'll need to enter to authenticate. So I'm going to copy that and control click to access this web page. I'll enter in the code, select the account to sign into, and then click continue. And then from here, I'm going to be signed in. Back here in Visual Studio Code, it's going to retrieve my subscriptions. I need to enter the number for the subscription that I plan to use. So in this case, it's going to be number 1. So I will enter 1 here. And then we have been authenticated. So I'm going to enter clear to clear everything out. What we'll now do from here is create an agent. To start, I'm going to create a brand new file. I'm going to call this agent.py. And then I'm going to copy the code that's available in the repo for this video. I'll save that, and I'll give us some more space by closing that up. So let's start with what's happening at the top. So we have our import statements that have already been taken care of when we installed our dependencies. We're loading our environment variables. And then the first thing that we're going to do is create the project client itself. And so to create the project client, we're going to call AI project client, and we're going to pass in the endpoint, which is in our environment variables, as well as the credential, which is what we got from our default Azure credential. And then just below that, we're going to actually create the agent itself. And so calling the create version method, we're going to pass in an agent name. And so that's why back in this environment variables file, we have the Azure AI Foundry agent name as my agent. That's going to be very important for the next bit of code that we're going to run. And then just below that, we have the definition. And within this prompt agent definition, we're passing in the model itself. And so that's going to be the GPT 4.1 mini. And then we have the instructions. And so if you have a system prompt that you want to pass in here for your agent, this is where you would define that. And then just below, we're going to output the information for the agent that was created. So this is going to include the agent ID, the agent name, as well as the agent version. So let's go ahead and create this agent. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. Python agent.py. And in doing so, what we're going to see as output is that our agent has been created. So the ID of the agent is going to be 1, and the name of it is my agent. And then we also have the version of it being 1 as well. If I navigate over to the Microsoft Foundry portal, you can see your agent within the UI by going to Build. And then within the agent section, we can see our agent here listed as my agent. And this is essentially the UI version of what we can do with code. Now within this UI version, you can actually chat with your agent here. You can add tools, knowledge, memory, guardrails. You can also get the code itself. You can trace your agent. You can monitor it. You can do evaluations for the agent. But we're going to continue hanging out over in Visual Studio Code to chat with our agent. So back here in Visual Studio Code, I'm just going to close the terminal just a little bit. I'm going to create a brand new file, and this one I'll name chat with agent.py, and I'll paste in the code that's available from the repo itself. I'll save this, and then within this file, I'll take you through what's in here as well. At the very top, we have the import statements. We've taken care of installing dependencies, so there's nothing more we need to do there. And we've loaded our environment variables. Just below that, again, we're creating the project client itself, passing in both the endpoint and the credential. And then below that, we're assigning the agent name. So this is very important that the agent name that you've defined in the .env file, which in this case is my agent, is also reflected here in the agent name for when we're chatting with the agent. That should also be the same name that we passed in when we created the agent earlier. All right, so just below that, we also are creating a OpenAI client as well. And then we have the step to create a conversation to use the agent. So using that create method, we're going to get a conversation ID itself. And then just below that, we can chat with the agent to answer questions. So using that create method, we're going to pass in a conversation ID, which we would have just created above. And then in addition to that, we have the body that's being passed in here. So that's going to include the agent name and then also the agent reference. And then the input itself is going to be the input that we're passing into the agent as the prompt. So in this case, it's what is the size of France in square miles? And then we're going to print out whatever that output's going to be. Just below that, we're going to ask a follow-up question in the same conversation. So this is also optional, but we're going to add that in here as well. Creating another response here as well. Using that create method, we're going to pass in the conversation ID. So this keeps the conversation that we started above. This is going to be part of that same conversation. Just below that, within the extra body, like before, we have the agent name, and then for the type, we have the agent reference. And then the input that we're going to have here is, and what is a capital city? In this new response that we're creating, by passing in the same conversation ID from the prior response is what's going to enable the agent to leverage its prior input and output in generating its new output. So that's why in this case, when we follow up and say, and what is a capital city, we don't have to give context that we're talking about France when we're asking about the capital city. And so let's go ahead and give this a run. So Python chat dash with agent.py. And then just below there, we should start to see a conversation unfold with this agent. So we have the conversation ID that I mentioned. The first output that we get is the size of France is approximately 248,573 square miles. And then the capital city of France is Paris. And that's answering that second question of what is the capital city? In the back over here in the Foundry portal, we can actually view the traces for the conversation that we've had with this agent. The traces are going to show the steps that the agent took to generate this output, and we'll have some more information here. It's super helpful if you need to do any debugging as well, especially as your agents gain more capabilities. This one's relatively simple because we don't have any tools that have been connected to our agent. So within here in traces for my agent, I can see that each run so far has been completed successfully, which is great. I can select one of the conversation IDs. I'll select the most recent one. And then in here, if I start at the very top, I can see some metadata about this conversation itself. I can also see things like when did it start, when did it end. I can also see the total tokens as well. And then I can dive deeper. I can look at the first response because keep in mind we had two different responses that were created. I can see the input and the output here, as well as the corresponding metadata as well. So again, super helpful if you're doing any debugging for your agent as well. And then also I have a run step here that also occurred, and there's more information in here that may be useful as you're debugging where your agent may have gone right or wrong. And then again, the second response, the run step as well. Very useful, helpful information available in here. You can also set up tracing with code as well. Very convenient, however, if you come here to the Foundry portal to view your traces. Either way, it's going to be helpful so long as you're able to trace how your agent gets to the point of generating its output. Back here in Visual Studio Code, as a next step, what I would suggest to do is take the code that we have here on this screen, the same code that's available in the repo, and you can use this code to iterate on it. You can modify what's here. You can add more capabilities to your agent as well. But most important, this is the stepping stone into creating an agent.